Hi, my name's Jonathon Hanks from a consultancy in Cape Town, South Africa called Incite Sustainability. That's I-N-C-I-T-E, deliberate choice of name. And I'm also chair of the International Drafting Task Force of ISO 26000. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been managing the negotiation process of 90 countries, 400 experts in developing a global standard on social responsibility called ISO 26000. And it's been very exciting. The last week we had confirmation that ISO 26000 has been approved, which is quite encouraging. And our next meeting of the working group to finalize the finer points of the drafting of the text will be in May in Copenhagen. I've been asked to share some thoughts on why I think ISO 26000 might be important. And I think it has a significant potential role to play in mainstreaming social responsibility and the contribution to sustainable development more broadly. And I'm going to argue that there's 3 key issues to consider here. Firstly is the particular brand benefit and the scope associated with the ISO. It's the most referenced standard globally on social responsibility issues. I think it has broader uptake than the Global Compact and in many respects than the Global Reporting Initiative. So that's the first element. It's got huge potential there. The second one is the nature of the process that was followed in developing this standard. Multi-stakeholder process, 6 different stakeholder groups, industry, NGO, government, labour, consumers, academics and others, from 90 countries. And all in all, probably several thousand expert contributions throughout the process to this standard. And it's been part of a innovative process which has involved a memorandum of understanding between ISO, the ILO, and the United Nations Global Compact. And the third point is, and I think the most important point, is the significance that this standard plays in identifying the fundamental expectations around social responsibility. And I think if we're going to have transformative leadership around sustainable development, which is absolutely required, I think that needs to build on the bedrock of understanding what are the global expectations that constitute social responsibility, no matter which culture, which country we operate in. So I think the standard does a very good job in doing that. It makes it very clear what the expectations are for all organizations around human rights, around consumer issues, around environmental management, around fair labor, and so on. And I think for the first time it brings together all of these issues in one very useful document. Whether or not it's going to live up to its potential remains to be seen. I have several concerns with the document, which I think it's misunderstood by a number of key players. I think its scope is not understood. It's very much not a process document, so it's very different to other ISO standards. It's not plan, do, check, act. It's about substantive content. It's not a certifiable standard, it's a guidance standard. So how it's going to be used and the extent to which the potential is realized remains to be seen. I'm also slightly worried with its naming, to be honest. I think the whole branding of CSR and social responsibility is awkward. I think for many people it conjures up images of being a nice guy, of doing philanthropy, dealing with social issues separate to core business. And it's absolutely not about that. And this standard makes it clear that it's about core business, about integrating it into your strategy, about dealing throughout the sphere of influence and so on. But I'm worried it's not going to be sufficiently appreciated. So the potential is there. I hope it lives up to its potential. I do think, although it operates mainly in the compliance space, I think experience shows that the initial compliance drivers are hugely important in prompting a process of introspection. I recently in South Africa introduced the Carbon Disclosure Project to South Africa, and my experience has been by getting companies to sort of tick the box of responding to the CDP, they've actually begun to understand the nature of their footprint. And by doing this compliance, they've actually moved into the transformation space. And I think ISO 26000 has the same potential. But it does remain how it's going to be taken up. There has been some strong resistance to it, politically, from in particular developing countries, China and India. It's interesting that the largest blocs that voted no, we had China, India, nearly all the Arab countries, and most of the former Soviet republics have voted no. What was encouraging is that the United States has voted yes, and in previous iterations they had expressed strong resistance to elements of the standard. So I'm encouraged, but it remains to be seen the extent to which it's taken up.
Thanks.
Okay.